It's a common question. Why don't planes fly straight across the Pacific Ocean between continents? At first glance, the curved flight paths seem bizarre, even inefficient. Many assume airlines are taking longer routes to avoid something dangerous or secret. But the reality involves a mix of geography, physics, and safety protocols. When you trace flight patterns from North America to Asia, you'll often see planes looping over Alaska or the Arctic. Why? Because what looks illogical on a flat map often makes perfect sense on a globe. But this is just the beginning of the mystery. To understand the real flight paths, we need to shift perspectives. Most maps distort distances due to their 2D nature. The Earth is a sphere, and flights take great circle routes, the shortest path between 2 points on a globe. These routes curve on flat maps, but are actually more direct. For example, a flight from Los Angeles to Tokyo may pass over Alaska, which seems out of the way on paper, but is the fastest way in reality. This navigation method saves time and fuel, but it also keeps planes away from a few other less comforting factors. The Pacific Ocean is no calm sea. It's home to some of the world's fiercest weather systems. Typhoons, cyclones, and unpredictable jet streams dominate this vast expanse. Pilots actively avoid these areas because turbulence over such an isolated ocean can pose serious risks. Jet streams, high-altitude winds, can help or hurt fuel efficiency depending on their direction. Storm cells can rise high enough to interfere with cruising altitudes, forcing costly and dangerous detours. When weighed against more stable routes over land or the Arctic, the Pacific becomes a less desirable highway in the sky, especially for passenger jets. One of the biggest concerns with crossing the Pacific is the lack of emergency landing spots. If a plane experiences mechanical failure or a medical emergency mid-flight, the options are limited, often none. Over land, airports are relatively close by. Over the Pacific, there's water, and more water. That's why many airlines follow ETOPS, Extended Range Twin-Engine Operational Performance Standards, which restrict how far twin-engine aircraft can fly from the nearest emergency airport. Flying over Alaska, Canada, or the Arctic Circle gives pilots more options in an emergency. Over the Pacific, even a perfect flight plan leaves zero room for error. The Pacific has swallowed more than just waves. In 1937, Amelia Earhart vanished without a trace during her attempt to fly around the world. Last seen over the Pacific. Her disappearance sparked decades of theories and deep-sea searches, but nothing definitive has ever been found. Dozens of other aircraft have similarly vanished. Poor weather, mechanical issues, or something more. With no debris, black boxes, or survivors, we're left with only questions. For some, the Pacific has become a legend in itself, a place where time, logic, and machines can simply disappear. Pilots haven't forgotten. Neither have airlines. Not all areas over the Pacific Ocean are open for civilian flights. Several restricted military zones, especially near US, Chinese, and Russian territories, require aircraft to divert or reroute. These no-fly zones are not always public knowledge, and flight planners must carefully avoid entering them. Some areas host missile testing, naval exercises, or classified operations. Even a slight deviation into these zones can lead to international incidents. For safety and diplomacy, airlines often choose alternate routes. When you're flying thousands of miles, detours of just a few hundred can shape flight patterns and keep aircraft far from the Central Pacific's vast emptiness. The Pacific Ocean isn't just wide, it's deep. The Mariana Trench alone plunges over 36,000 feet below sea level. If an aircraft were to go down here, recovery becomes a near-impossible task. The search for Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370 proved just how difficult it is to find wreckage in deep, remote oceans. Unlike land crashes, where responders can quickly access the site, ocean incidents are delayed, expensive, and often fruitless. This fear factors into flight planning. Airlines would rather trace paths along more accessible landmasses or coastlines, where rescue operations can be executed quickly. Over the Pacific, you vanish into silence. Flying isn't just about distance, it's about efficiency. Jet fuel is one of the highest costs for airlines, and long-haul flights across the Pacific require more of it. Wind resistance, air pressure, and unpredictable jet streams can throw off calculations. If conditions aren't optimal, fuel burn increases dramatically. That's why pilots often choose routes that follow tailwinds, which are more common in northern corridors than directly over the Pacific. The Great Circle route also helps here, shortening time in the air. When you combine fuel savings, time savings, and fewer risks, avoiding the Pacific becomes not just safer, but smarter. Most people have heard of the Bermuda Triangle, but the Pacific has its own whispered-about zone. The Dragon's Triangle, also known as the Devil's Sea. Located near Japan, this region has seen unexplained disappearances of ships and planes, some never found. Local legends speak of time distortions, vanishing islands, and strange electrical interference. While many of these stories remain unproven, pilots have reported unusual instrument readings and sudden weather shifts in the area. Whether myth or reality, these stories feed a long-standing caution. Over the Pacific, superstition meets science, and in aviation, even whispers of danger are often taken seriously. Despite the risks, some flights do cross the Pacific. Aircraft like the Boeing 787 and Airbus A350 are certified for long-haul flights thanks to modern ETOPS ratings and dual-engine reliability. Routes like Los Angeles to Sydney or Tokyo to Honolulu make use of waypoints and island airfields, such as Midway or Hawaii. These routes are carefully planned, tracked in real time, and backed by redundant safety systems. Airlines don't avoid the Pacific entirely, they just approach it with extreme caution. Every flight is a dance with calculated risk. Technology has made it possible, but the Pacific still commands deep respect. As aviation evolves, so do the tools that make it safer. Artificial intelligence is transforming flight planning, allowing airlines to predict weather patterns, avoid turbulence, and optimize fuel usage better than ever. Satellites now provide real-time tracking over oceans, reducing the blackout zones that once worried pilots. In the future, AI may allow more direct Pacific crossings with even lower risk. Still, no matter how advanced our technology becomes, the ocean doesn't change. It remains vast, unpredictable, and unforgiving. Until we master the skies entirely, the Pacific will remain a boundary not of distance, but of calculated caution.